Rabindranath Tagore once said, "Everything comes to us that belongs to us if we create the capacity to receive it." Welcome, everybody. I want to welcome you back to the podcast. Today is episode 17. And like I always do, I want to get into a little bit of gratitude time. I am grateful for a wonderful partner and a wife that allows me to be who I am. And like I say before, many times, gratitude is one of the best things you can have in your life. It is something that you should cherish and relinquish in daily to help have a better and meaningful life. And the reason why I like to do a gratitude time is also to kind of invoke some feelings and thought into you. When you hear somebody else talking about gratitude, it kind of triggers you to think about, hey, what am I grateful for? He seems to be very happy and grateful about things a lot. What am I grateful for? So that's one of the reasons why I like to put this in here. It also reminds me to also come up and think of new ways to be grateful, because it's very easy to become complacent and think of the same things over and over. And that whole quote at the beginning is just so powerful. Everything comes to us that belongs to us if we just make room. So, welcome everyone to the podcast. Today we're going to be talking about losing identity. So let's get into it. Let's be real. So like I always do, I always start off with some definitions. And I'm going to give you guys 4 words like normally if you've listened to the podcast. If not, if this is your first one, well, this is what I do. I like to educate, entertain, and motivate. And so this is part of the educating side. And so identity is a noun. And it's the fact of being who or what a person or thing is. And so losing is an adverb, suffering, resulting in, or relating to defeat in a game or contest, which life can be a game. Deserve is a verb. Do something or have or show qualities worthy of reward or punishment. And the last word is capacity. Noun. The maximum amount that something can contain. And so when it comes to things, we can have infinite capacity for it, and sometimes we have limited capacity. So the question of this topic today of losing identity is, how do we lose our identity? Well, there's many ways to do it. Having kids can be a way that you lose your identity. I know a lot of you parents, as soon as I said that, went, word. Me being a father, I understand completely how this can happen. Being in a relationship, you can lose your identity. Marriage, career, friendships, etc. There are so many things that can cause you to lose your identity and who you are. If you listened to the last episode, you would know that we talked about forgetting who we are. Now, you may think, well, forgetting who you are and identity are the same thing. Wrong. So, identity versus who we are. Identity is the qualities, beliefs, personalities, looks, and or expressions that make a person. Whereas who we are refers to the things in or on us we cannot change, and it is who we are. So we are born as a person. We are born with these different things on us and in us that we cannot control. But we also can learn qualities and beliefs and personality. That is our identity. That is what identifies us as, there's different ways we can, especially in school, like many of you that have been in high school were identified as either a jock or a skater or a punk or a goth or whatever. That is an identity. But that is not who we are. Who we are is a kind, loving human being. So I hope you understand the differences there. I hope I've explained it clearly enough to really get you guys past that expressions. Now, being a parent is hard work. Sometimes you feel like this little person is just absorbing everything out of you. And before you know it, your YouTube is overran with Ryan's World and slime and other things, and no longer has the personal development or anything. Now when you go to recommendation, it's like, new Ryan's World episode, let's watch it. And it's like, that's not who I am. That's not my identity. So you also become so fixated on raising this little person into a good human being that you lose your identity. You lose the beliefs and personality that you had, and it's all about raising this child. The time, the money, the energy, and everything is just sucked out of you. That by the end of the day, you don't want to do nothing but sit on the couch and watch 14 hours of Netflix. And I know this from experience. So anyways, so learn to lean on your friends and family when it comes to this. When you want to get to the point of, hey, I need some time for myself. I need to reconnect with my identity. And it's so hard as a parent sometimes to do that. And now this can also work in relationships where you guys are constantly around each other and you have no freedom of expression, because there is going to be a dominant person in the relationship. So the person that's the submissive one is probably going to lose their identity, where the dominant one's going to keep it. And a lot of people are going to be very defensive here and say, I'm not the submissive one, not me. When really you probably are the submissive one. But anyways, that right there will make you lose your identity. If you're always giving into the other person to make them happy, if you're always giving up your things to make sure that they have theirs, you're going to lose your identity. You're going to forget the things that made you happy. You're going to forget the things that were there to really just, be there and make you that person. So you deserve me time. Remember who you were before these big life-changing events came in that made you lose who you were. It was funny. I was listening to a podcast the other day. I had Felicia Day on it. And she was talking about being a new mother and how her songs on Spotify were kids songs. Every single one, like her most played songs for the year were kids songs, like Itsy Bitsy Spider and some other Halloween song and stuff like that. And I just thought it was really funny because I have the same thing happen to me with my Pandora and other things. And it tells you, this is your most played channel. This is your most played song. On YouTube, it shows the most time spent on a certain channel. And mine was Ryan's World, which I thought was funny because normally I'm watching Undisputed or some other sports stuff, but it was the kids stuff that came up number one. And so it's one of those things where you look at it and you go, like that's where all of my time and energy is going. But that's not who I am. That's not what I want to happen. So that's where leaning on your significant other, leaning on your friends and family to give you that break, to find yourself again, to find that identity of what you believe in and what you strive for, your passions, your dreams, and just go for it. So, and I already hear tons of parents yelling at the podcast right now, listening to this going, well, that's being selfish. That's not being a good parent. But no, stop right there. Just stop. Because if you don't have your identity and you're not happy, what type of kid do you think you're going to raise? Are you going to raise a kid who's submissive and doesn't want to have their own personal beliefs and identities and be who they are? Or do you want a kid that looks at their parents and go, my father was this, or my mother was this, and they knew who they were, what they identified with, what they identified as. They were there and were happy because of it. Let that sink in. Think about it. Kids are sponges. I see it all day long. Like my daughter with the things that she comes up with and says, and I'm like, where'd you hear that? And she's like, you, Dad. And I'm like, oh crap, that was me. So they're always watching you. They're always paying attention, and they're absorbing everything you do, say, feel, everything. It's insane. And so you really need to look deep inside and understand that it is okay to take that time for yourself. It's okay to find your identity again. And this doesn't just, what I'm saying doesn't just apply to parents. It applies to everything. It applies to, your career, your family, your relationships, everything. If something is causing you to lose your identity, learn to take that step back and reevaluate and look deep inside to understand what it is that your identity was, is, and will always be for you to reconnect. So that's what I got for you guys today for the podcast. Like always, at the end, we do some follow-up questions, whether these be questions that you guys send in to me or some questions that I come up with on my own. And today we're going to be going over some to relate back to the material we just went over. So first question, and the reason why I do these questions is to help you do some active learning. You can write these down. You can reflect on them later, journal them, all these things that will help you better understand and be more of an active learner. What did you identify with before these said events happened, whether it be relationship, kids, job, all these things? Second question, why don't you make time for your identity? What's your excuse? What's the reason? Because it's an excuse. Because there's no good excuse on why. Okay, let me retract that. There might be one out there. I just can't think of it right now. But for the most part, whether it be I'm too tired because of work, or I'm too tired because the kid takes all my energy, or I don't have enough time, or I don't have any money, things like that. And lastly, who can you count on to help you find your identity again? Who do you think, if you went to and said, hey, I really need some help with X, Y, and Z, do you think you could help me out for a day or every other Monday or something? Who do you think you could go to find that help? Because there's someone out there that is willing to help you if you just ask them. So that's what I got for you guys today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys got something out of it. If you're on SoundCloud, Stitcher, or if you're watching this on YouTube, leave a like, comment down below, anything you want. I'm just waiting to read comments. But the point is there are people out there that need to hear something like this, that need to understand that it's okay and that you can re-find your identity, that you can get back to that happiness and joy and personality and beliefs that you were in before. So I hope that you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. And God bless.